Sharks, welcome back to the channel. If you're here watching this, it's because you value shooting lower scores on the golf course, and in order to do that, there really are countless elements of this game to practice and get better at. You've got ball striking, putting, short game, bunker play, just to name a few, and of course, the big stick driver. And most amateur golfers only really practice that handful of skills, and they are obviously very important, but in my experience, after observing thousands of amateur golf rounds, I believe there is a hidden element that makes it harder to shoot lower golf scores, and it's one that you likely weren't taught or likely encouraged to understand, that unless you can actually see it and then begin to master it, shooting low golf scores is always going to feel harder than it needs to. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what that hidden factor is. I'm going to show you how I've began to master it, all with the intention of helping you shoot lower golf scores out there on the beautiful green fairways. And to help me do this, let's jump in to a classic Sharkwell story time. So I'm playing in a local best ball money game, and I'm having one of these rounds. I walk off the 7th green at 1 over par, and my team is sitting at even. We're kind of in the mix to win, but really we need a strong finish to get in the shake-up and get that sweet, sweet cash back. Maybe birdie birdie. I walk onto the 8th tee box, and this is the hardest hole of the 9. The card says 400 yards, but it usually plays into the wind. Thankfully, we are playing today's money ball off the yellows, which is a story for another video. I hit a pretty decent 3-wood off the tee, and I face 142 yards to a middle pin. As you can see, I'm kind of blocked out here, so I'm going to have to hit a low cut shot, and I opt to use a choke down 9-iron, the plan being to get it to release on its first bounce to the middle of the green. And I hit this absolute worldie. This is clearly a mistake. And like most mistakes, this one is going to cost me immediately. Just by hitting this topper, I no longer have a realistic look at birdie. I'm going to have to bin it from 120 yards, which is very unlikely. So that's the first cost. But this is where this hidden part of the game appears, because I now have to decide how much mistake tax I'm going to pay. And what most average amateur golfers do here is they opt to pay more mistake tax, and they do that by compounding their mistakes. And I've tracked hundreds of amateur rounds. I've personally played thousands of rounds, and I've played with hundreds of players across various different countries on all different types of courses. In my experience, 70% of the time that an amateur makes one mistake, they follow that up with at least one more, sometimes 2, 3, 4 mistakes, because they're no longer thinking about what they're doing, they're just reacting, they're frustrated, they're thinking about how bad they are, they're angry. There's something occurring that is causing them not to play their A game anymore, and as a result they start to pay more mistake tax. And this is a hidden feature of the game. I don't see too many people talking about this. Mistake management, course management, but actually seeing it as a tax is not something many other people are doing. So if you can start to do this, you're going to get ahead of them, because if you can understand the numbers and understand tax, it's kind of like real life, where if you understand the game that you're playing in more accurately, you can make more precise choices about what you're going to do next. And to help illustrate this point, let's jump into some numbers. So the minimum mistake tax that you're going to pay is 0 shots. That's because you can still make par from making mistakes, right? So you don't actually lose a shot. But let's be realistic here. A good tax rate for an amateur golfer is paying 1 to 1.5 strokes per mistake. But when we start to look at compounding tax, you can now expect to pay between 2 and 4.5 strokes. And really, depending on how bad you are at emotional management, this could go up even higher. And you've probably seen this. You top one, then you chunk one, then you blade one, then you're in the bunker, then you're over here. And before you know it, you've got like a 15 on the card. That's an extreme amount of tax, but you can understand the illustration here. And what I want to do is play this out over a round. And let's say you make 7 mistakes per round, which is actually pretty low for most amateurs. At the normal advisable tax rate of 1 to 1.5 strokes penalty, that's between 7 to 10 extra strokes. But if you compound that tax rate just by double, which again is very normal and very common, this jumps to a 14 to 30 stroke penalty. And what you need to see here, this is literally the difference between shooting a 79 and 93, just paying the wrong tax rates. And I can't encourage you to understand this concept enough. Download it, digest it, live with it, believe in it, because you can practice your driving, your ball striking, your putting, your bunker play, all of this stuff all day long. You can go to the range, stripe hellacious bombs, work on fades, work on draws, do all of this work. But if you are paying the wrong mistake tax, your scores will always plateau. They will not come down easily. And this happened to me for a long time, and I didn't even realize it was happening. I'd just get in the clubhouse, I'd look down, I'd be like 85, 87, 89 for years. For about 4 to 6 years that happened to me, and I'd be like, what is it? Is it my driving? Do I need to hit the ball further? And it was so frustrating. And when I started to actually analyze my numbers and look at how many times I was compounding mistakes, simple little things where you've got a chip and then you're playing another chip, or instead of 2.5 put in, you're 3.7 put in. All of these things add up, and when I saw that for what it was, and I started to really focus on reducing that and pay a normal amount of tax, be like, right, I've made a mistake, I'm going to take my one-shot penalty and then move on. And in doing that and in embedding this into my game, my scores started to tumble. And now I'm walking in the clubhouse with 75 to 76, occasionally a sub 70. And that's obviously from improving my game, but it is also from mastering mistake tax. And I really can't encourage you to do it enough. And if at this stage of the video you're thinking, tax, paying the wrong amount of tax, not playing in the right game, falling a little bit behind, always ending up back at the same plateaus, and you're thinking, is this golf, is this real life? Remember, you can adopt the philosophy that golf is merely a mirror of real life. That's what I do, and just think about that. Whilst you let that sit in, let's just show you this in action. So my next shot after the absolute worldy top is a wedge from 120 yards. I knock it on, and I actually have a sniff at 0 tax. This is also a really good roll. I bury this knee jangler, I make bogey, and I lose just that one shot, which is what I'm aiming for. Then on 9, I rebound immediately. I hit a really good 3-wood, smack a 5-iron up near the par 5, and then I up and down for a birdie. We didn't end up winning the full pot in this money match, but the birdie that I made on 9 pushed the skin, which meant that we unlocked all of the skin money, and that put us up an absolute massive up $1, the mighty dollar. We won all the skins and closest to the pin. Easy money, dog. The bottom line, just like life, paying less tax on the golf course means more profit. Sharks, by now you're probably thinking, wow, mistake tax, I don't want to be paying none of that. What can I actually do on the course, and what can I take with me to ensure I'm paying the least amount as possible? Well, here's an acronym that you can use. It's called R.E.S.E.T. It's going to start off with R, which is recognize. Firstly, recognize exactly what's just happened. You made a mistake. You're human. It's normal. This is a very difficult game. Even the pros make mistakes. You just need to recognize that for what it is, a normal feature of a round of golf. And when you do that, it's going to turn you from reactive and frustrated and emotional into just acceptance of like, oh, yeah, I made a mistake. And what I like to do, and I don't do this too much on the course because my outward emotions don't always reflect my internal world. It's just how I am, and maybe you're the same. But I like to have a little giggle, and I just think to myself, like, how did I just do that? How did I literally just top it across the fairway? I had this whole plan in my head, and then that happened. The physics is incredible. This is an incredibly hard game. It creates space, and then I enter into the next part of R, which is refuse, and I just refuse to pay the tax. I just refuse to pay more than I have to. I'm looking for the lowest viable amount. And in that space and in that mindset, it just anchors me into the moment of like, right, what are we going to do next? I become proactive, not reactive. We then move into E. And if you're new here, I'm really big into breath work. I think it unlocks many aspects of this life, both on the course and off it. So I take a deep breath in, and then I exhale. And in that space, I can then think. I'm less emotional, less reactive, and it's building on the R. I have space now. I then move into S, which is shift. And I always like to shift into a state of gratitude. Gratitude is unbelievable at reducing tension. And the line I often say to myself is like, look, I'm out here in a big field, whacking a white Titleist Pro V1 or Pro V1X, depending on the wind, around with my friends. What a time to be alive. There's so many worse places I could be right now. I'm so grateful to be here. Oh, doesn't that feel good? We then move on to E, which is evaluate, and by now my emotions have down-regulated. I have all this space, so I'm evaluating, like, what is the next best play? How am I going to actually reduce this tax rate? How do I get back in play? What do I have to do next to be strategic? And then finally, T is trust, and you want to go back to something you can trust. And for me, that is sequence of swing and my routine. both of those and the fundamentals, if I just anchor myself into that routine, I just can trust it, right? I've done so much work on my golf game throughout the years that it's not just going to completely elude me after one bad shot, one mistake, which is totally normal. If you put all this together, it's just going to be unbelievable how much less tax you pay, because you're not going to be reactive, you're going to be evaluating, you're not going to be frustrated, and you're going to stop that compounding. And it's so important. It's normal to make mistakes, but if you want to shark well and you want to shoot low golf scores, you cannot compound mistakes. The pros don't do it. That's one of the big differences between elite level players and real bottom of the barrel amateurs, is that they can control their mistakes. They don't let the mistake tax get out of control. And if you want to shoot lower scores, maybe you need to work on your mistake tax. One of the main points I wanted to share with you in this video is this is absolutely a skill. It's a feature of the game. It's an element of this wonderful, wonderful game that we play. And just bringing your awareness to it, having it in your sphere of influence as a concept is immediately going to help you, because you're going to be thinking like, oh, hang on. I just bladed one 172 yards off into the yonder. I'm going to be paying some mistake tax here, but I'm reducing that rate. Just as a concept, you feel the difference there? It's going to definitely improve your scores, and you build this like a muscle. That whole reset system is happening almost subconsciously for me at this point, to where I don't get really tilted, and that's another video that I'm about to release is about control and tilt, and this is a part of it. But you put all this together, you're going to bounce back just like I did immediately on the next hole, well really the next shot, and reduce that window, because I've seen amateurs, make one mistake and then it's 36 holes before they're back to their self, because they just can't stop it happening. How much tax is that? I know personally, in life, in golf, I don't want to pay more tax than I have to, and therefore I have to have an understanding of what that means, and then a way to navigate it legally, safely, and above board. It's a lot easier in golf than real life, but just having those as intentions means that I pay less tax, and I really want you to do that. So reset yourself, go through that acronym, practice this, and I'll see you in the next video. Shoot low, hit bombs, have fun, be a shark. Thanks for being here, subscribe, do all of that stuff. Much love, and if you want more Sharkwell stories, definitely subscribe. Alright, thanks for watching, peace.